Mesopotamia is a Greek word that means between the rivers. People don't even know that. The term Mesopotamia means between the rivers, so it's referring to the Euphrates and the Tigris. As a matter of fact, I think we can get another map where it shows you that region is called Mesopotamia. Maybe not, but we'll see. No, they don't have it on this one. We have it in our history map. Anyway, so there we go. But once again, it said, and the dwellers of Mesopotamia?
Yep.
The dwellers of Mesopotamia is talking about people who were the Israelites who were living between the Euphrates and the Tigris River. That's what the term Mesopotamia means. It means between the rivers. Go ahead.
And in Judea?
And in Judea, that's down here. You got the term Judah. I'm going to go back to the New Testament map. So when it says Judea, they were living down here. Go ahead.
And Cappadocia.
Cappadocia. Now listen to this. This is up in Asia Minor. Cappadocia. Now today, this entire area is known as Turkey. Okay? This entire area is known as Turkey, but he's going to name some of the provinces in Asia Minor where these Israelites were scattered. Go ahead.
And in Pontus.
In Pontus. Pontus is farther north. Hold on. We got a whole lot written down here. Right here, Pontus. Okay. Remember, don't lose the fact that we're reading about Israelites who were in Jerusalem, who were not from Jerusalem, but they came back to honor the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and then afterward, 50 days afterward, the Feast of First Fruits, or the Feast of Harvest, or in the New Testament, it's referred to as the Pentecost. Okay? So he said in Pontus, go ahead.
And Asia.
And Asia. Asia is generally this area here. Keep on reading.
Phrygia.
Phrygia is right here. Phrygia is just a little farther east of the Aegean Sea. Go ahead.
And Pamphylia.
Pamphylia is a little farther south, east. Pamphylia, right here. Go ahead.
In Egypt.
Egypt, now we know where Egypt is. Listen, there was Israelites that were living in Egypt. Continue.
And in the parts of Libya about Cyrene.
The parts of Libya about Cyrene is right here. This to the west of Egypt is Libya, and it tells you Cyrenaica or Cyrenaica. But that's what it's talking about, Cyrene. Go ahead.
And strangers of Rome.
And strangers of Rome. Now Rome is in Italy. This is Rome right here. Now, he's naming people. This is bad because when he says under every nation in heaven, it literally went from the far east all the way to the far west of the old world, Rome. Okay? Now you got Rome. It said the strangers of Rome, because there were Israelites living in Rome, they were not Romans. Now Cornelius was of that extract. He was an Israelite who had a position as a centurion out of the regiment dispatched out of Italy. That's why it tells you in chapter 10 he was a centurion of the Italian band, and people assumed that he was Italian, and he wasn't. He was a stranger of Rome. And the strangers of Rome, go ahead.
Jews.
Listen, Jews, meaning Israelites who knew that they were Israelites, go ahead.
And proselytes.
And when it says proselytes, it's talking about Israelites. Proselyte is another term for convert. It's talking about the Israelites, like, for instance, let me explain this. You have these Israelites that we just read about were Israelites who retained. That's why the Lord opened up and said they were devout. They never left. Their forefathers taught them who they were, and they were constantly handing it down to their children. But then you had other Israelites who were living in those very same areas that we mentioned, that we read, and they had abandoned their culture. They had abandoned the law. They had completely assimilated into the culture of the nation where they were living. So when they came and became, quote, Christians or followers of Christ, when they adhered to the doctrine that the apostles were teaching, they were referred to as proselytes, because they were Israelites having been in a Gentile mind that came back or converted back to their culture. That's what it means when it says proselytes. Those are the Gentiles that the Bible is constantly talking about when it says not to the Jews only, but to the Gentiles. It's saying not to the devout Jews, but also to the Israelites who went astray. That's what it's saying. Okay, brother, where we at?
Verse 11.
Go ahead.
Cretes.
Oh, I guess we gotta go back to the map. The island Crete. You had Israelites that were dwelling in the island Crete. This was one of Paul's stops. Paul made a stop on one of his 4 voyages. This is a map of Paul's 4 journeys. And so when he says Crete, this is one of the stops that he made because there were Israelites in that island in the Mediterranean Sea. Go ahead.
And Arabians.
Cretes and Arabians. Now, where are the Arabians? The Arabians are down here. Let's get another map. Yeah. Down here. Okay, so we're looking at southwest of Mesopotamia. You got Arabia. And there were Israelites that had been scattered all over the known world, including Arabia. He already read Egypt. He already read certain parts of Libya, specifically Cyrene. We read about the island Crete. We read about certain locations within the the area of Asia Minor, basically today known as Turkey, Cappadocia, Pontus, Phrygia, Pamphylia, places like that. We read as far west as Rome. And once again, it specified that they were devout men and that among them also were proselytes. In other words, Israelites who had assimilated and adopted other cultures but came back. Converts. Those were Israelites. Go ahead, brother.
We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God.
It says, read that again.
Cretes and Arabians.
Cretes and Arabians.
We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God.
These Israelites were saying, we hear these men speaking in our tongue the wonderful works of the Most High. So when it's talking about speaking in tongues, it's showing you there were actually languages that were languages of men. Okay? So the apostles were teaching people that were from all over the world, all over the known world at the time, and they were basically being used to bring Israel up to date on some prophecies that have recently been fulfilled with the birth of, life of, ministry of, death of, and resurrection and ascension of Christ. Alright? Now, that was Acts chapter 2. Let's do this. Let's go to Acts chapter 10. And we're going to read the account of what took place with Cornelius. Because a lot of people think Cornelius was, quote, an Italian, as in an Edomite. And he wasn't. He was an Israelite who had a position in the Roman military as an officer or soldier, captain, of 100 men. That's what a centurion is. Cent means 100. Okay. Verse 1 of Acts chapter 10.
There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius.
Now let's go to the map once again. Let's get to Caesarea. We're going to do it the time of Paul. Because it's up here, what you call it? Right here, Caesarea. Read it again.
There was a certain man in Caesarea.
Now this is where he was dispatched. In Caesarea. Continue.
Called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian Band.
He was a centurion that was dispatched in Caesarea, who was from the band. When it says the band, literally talking about the regiment or the legion of Rome. Because when you look, like if you watch the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe, he was a Roman soldier, but throughout the movie, they always refer to him as the Spaniard, because he was a person, a general, that was over the armies, over the legions of Rome, but the specific band of Spain. They would refer to him also as the Spaniard. But he was a Roman, an Edomite like the rest of them. Well, this